Sometimes survivors become deeply unsettled when their mind keeps revisiting conversations long after the relationship has ended. They often assume that persistent overthinking means they're stuck, emotionally overwhelmed, or unable to let go. What many survivors don't realize is that overthinking after relationships like this is often evidence of how deeply the mind is trying to restore coherence. It is rarely a sign of obsession. More often, it is a sign of adaptation. When you live inside what I call the narcissistic narrative, your thinking is repeatedly exposed to conflicting realities. You may be told one version of events while experiencing another. You may feel certain something is wrong while simultaneously being convinced that your perception can't be trusted. Over time, this creates unresolved cognitive tension that the brain naturally tries to reconcile. Many survivors underestimate how intellectually demanding that environment actually was. Maintaining stability inside chronic contradiction requires the mind to continuously analyze, reinterpret, and monitor for hidden meaning. That level of vigilance isn't a flaw. It is an advanced survival response. If you found yourself replaying conversations, revisiting past moments, or mentally reviewing interactions, trying to understand what really happened, that doesn't mean your mind is broken or compulsive. In many cases, it means your brain is trying to construct a coherent narrative from experiences that were destabilizing while they were happening. Understanding overthinking as adaptation changes its emotional meaning. Instead of interpreting these mental loops as loss of control, they can be understood as your mind trying to restore internal consistency. The brain is trying to close psychological loops that were never allowed to resolve in real time. Now, there is, however, a paradox that many survivors encounter. The harder someone tries to force clarity through analysis, the more persistent rumination can become. This happens because the mind isn't only searching for answers, it is also searching for safety. When your internal system still expects unpredictability, the brain often maintains pattern scanning to prevent future harm. Overthinking in this stage is often a sign that your mind is still working to protect your stability, even if it no longer needs to in the same way. Clarity tends to return not through pressure, but through stability. As internal safety gradually increases, the mind naturally reduces its need to revisit unresolved experiences. This isn't something most people can force through willpower. It usually happens as a system slowly learns that contradiction and unpredictability are no longer constant threats. If you recognize yourself in this stage, it doesn't mean you're behind in recovery. It doesn't mean your thinking has been damaged. In many cases, it means your mind has been operating with extraordinary vigilance to maintain coherence inside a destabilizing environment. Many survivors later discover that when their cognitive safety is supported in structured, paced ways, their thinking begins to reorganize naturally. They often experience a gradual shift from needing to analyze every interaction toward trusting their present interpretation of reality. That shift rarely happens through insight alone. It usually develops through repeated, supported experiences that allow internal authority to stabilize over time. If structured support during that stabilization process feels helpful, Power and Purpose Academy provides a paced environment designed specifically for rebuilding internal authority without forcing clarity or rushing progress. If that feels relevant to you, you can find more information in the description below. And if you're not ready for that, you're always welcome to continue here and move at your own pace. In the next video, we'll explore why trying to force yourself to feel confident after relationships like this can sometimes create additional pressure, and why confidence often returns differently than most people expect after experiences that disrupted self-trust. We'll pause here.